your ears, boy.
It's way too hard at the ice out the neck. It's way too hard at the ice out the neck. When I'm in my zone, bitch, I get my respect. Call me Bumpy Johnson.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Texas Sports World. I am your host, Ethan, and we are going to discuss the beatdown that CJ Stroud and company did to the heavily injured Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. Before we get started, though, as you can tell, don't mind my voice, the allergies, the air, the world around me, it's messing me up a little bit. So now that we're past that, now that we've acknowledged it, now we can get to the good stuff. So this Sunday, Texans go to Baltimore, place they never won at in franchise history. I think it was some crazy, like it was either like 0-8 all time, something like that. And then we all remember what happened in the Beyonce Bowl. We all remember what happened the last time we played them. I don't know, it was like 41-2 or some 38-2 or something stupid like that. So this was definitely a game that ultimately we're not playing the best version of the Ravens. Obviously, they're riddled with injuries on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, you're without Lamar Jackson. You start Cooper Rush, who is arguably not that great at all. Actually, not even. It's just I've always wondered why teams, whenever they have a backup, don't. Why the backup isn't like the same skill set as the starter. Like I feel like there's so many teams out there, and maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm making up things in my brain, and I think that I see it, and I don't. And y'all can comment under and tell me I'm an idiot. But I feel like I see a lot of teams that the starter is a certain type of player. Like for the Texans for a long time, the starter is like a certain type of player, right? Whether it be like Lamar, who's an athlete, not saying he's not a quarterback. Obviously, I'm just saying like he can run, he can move, he's got some agility to him. You can move him around a little bit. He can make mistakes. Todd Monken said that he's the eraser. They talked about it on the broadcast or eliminator, where he eliminates mistakes that everybody else around him makes just by his ability. And I'm not saying you can go out and find that with any guy out there, but you can go find a guy. You can. There are guys out there that can be a backup that are. Let me just make sure. Yeah, there's guys out there that can be that have that skill set, that are that type of player. It is possible, And so to have a backup like Cooper Rush, it just seems like you're throwing the towel before the game even starts. And that's no disrespect to Cooper Rush, but like Cooper Rush isn't the same time. You got to change the whole play, the whole offense. You got to change everything you're going to do, everything you're about, everything your guys are used to, everything that they've grown accustomed to in terms of they know that if they let their guy beat them one way or the other one time, they make one mistake here and there, Lamar Jackson's going to be able to, an athlete, a guy that can move, is going to be able to make up for it, and it's not going to be a complete play killer. There were a couple times where if they had Lamar, I think things would have turned out differently, but ultimately you don't. And it's still a lot of credit to the Texans defense. I mean, 3 interceptions. It was a absolute shut down by Matt Burke and that defense. His second game calling defense, and he's only given up 10 points. So, I mean, that's a hell of a start if you're Matt Burke. Hell of a start. I think, obviously it's a weird place to be in if you're a Texans fan, in my opinion, because obviously you have the Ravens, you have the decal on the helmet and kind of like what it means, and like they were talking about it on the broadcast, what type of team the Ravens have been in their history, and when you finally go into their home and beat them the way you beat them, and it's just a complete and utter disrobing, just dismantling. Like, just the Texans were doing whatever they wanted. Nick Chubb busting off quick runs. That one wasn't on purpose. They didn't let him score that time. The Texans opened up the hole, and he really, busted one on him. So that was really cool. Really, really great to see a vintage CJ Stroud again, and just finally, I think he's 2 weeks in a row, he's over 80% completion percentage. or something along those lines. It's really great to see him finally get back into a position where, the offensive line, they played well. The offensive line played well, and they were able to give him some time. Like, there was some breakdowns here and there, but not nearly as much or at nearly the clip that uh they've been in the past. It was definitely one of those situations where they were able to do their job, CJ was able to do his, and we saw what happens when CJ is able to do his job. You know, um, 4 touchdowns, looked elite. And this is something that I've seen these first couple weeks of the season. With I don't know if it's I don't know if it's an like a schematic thing or if it's something that CJ has just become accustomed to doing, um, or something like that. But his connection with Dalton Schultz is something really interesting to me, and maybe this has something to do with um, losing Brevin Jordan, and losing a lot of pretty much everybody at that position coming into the season has gotten hurt, so that connection has really bode well, and he had a ton of receptions. And, I want to let me get to the let me go see the let me bring up the stats real quick so I can kind of, because this is just from like I'm kind of just riffing right now, trying to go through what I was thinking about during the game. And it just felt like Dalton Schultz was really a main target. Like and he was moving the ball, he was catching it, he was finding soft spots in the zone. He was just doing a lot of good things. And he was doing his thing blocking, which was a big question coming into the season, is whether he's gonna be able to hold up now that Brevin Jordan and Cade Stover, both of them, are no longer playing. So he had a lot of slack to pick up, and so far he's done his job. It's been really nice to see, and it's been really nice to see him and CJ kind of form this connection. So okay. So I was right. So he actually led the team in receptions today, or on Sunday. So leads the team in receptions, 4 yards from being the leading receiver, but the ball was spread around. Christian Kirk, 4 for 64. Dalton Schultz, 5 for 60. Nico, 4 for 52. Jaden Higgins, 4 for 32. Xavier Hutchinson didn't have a lot of big plays in terms of yardage, but he got his 2 first scores in his career. And they were one of them, I believe, was when he caught it in the back, like a back shoulder pass, I believe. So that's really, I mean, it's good to see him kind of coming on. I'm really glad to see that. Noel got going a little bit with a touchdown. I think it was Noel who did the Ray Lewis dance in the end zone. That's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off. Just watched that movie last night. Shout out Dodgeball. And so here's one thing that I kind of want to talk about, because Nick Chubb played really, really, really well. And I think that, yes, he's proving himself to be serviceable as the season goes on. Like, I don't think he seems to be leveling out, and I can live with what it's leveling out to be. If everything kind of goes the way it looks like it's going in terms of the offensive line gelling and in terms of the offensive pass game, which opens up the run game, and vice versa, complementary football, if that continues, like at one point they were at 99 yards passing, 99 yards rushing. So there was some complementary football going on Sunday, and that ultimately helped Nick Chubb get going. Maybe Nick Chubb isn't at the point of his career where he can be a workhorse. You can just lean on him when your offense doesn't have anything going. No, that's not who Nick Chubb is. Now, on the flip side, the offense is an offense where the run game needs to get going, or for the pass game to get going. So it's kind of a hard place to be in, because how do you get the pass game going in this offense when your running back isn't necessarily a running back that has the ability at this point in his career to jumpstart and generate a pass game? You know what I mean? I know that sounds weird as a running back or saying generate, but that's the only way I can really think about putting it, is that he's not the one who you want when your pass game isn't going and you lean on the run. you get the run game going, and now you can open up a play action. That's not that type of running back. He's the type of running back where they're on their heels playing pass, and he runs under it, and kind of he's able to break some tackles and make some stuff happen. That's kind of the guy Nick Chubb is, which is great. But personally, in my personal opinion, I've seen enough. Not of Nick Chubb, but I love Nick Chubb. I just went on that what I just said, but I've seen enough in terms of the battle between Woody Marks and Nick Chubb, and I want Woody Marks to start receiving a bulk of the carries. Uh, he didn't have a reception this week, which is odd because that's kind of one of the things he's good at doing, is receiving it out of the backfield. But I think what he's shown in his ability last week, and then this week, I think he only got 7 carries for 24, so not exactly what I would have liked to see. I would have liked to see a little bit more Woody Marks, especially in this type of game when it's 44-10. You know what I mean? When it's one of those games where you score double digits in every quarter except the first. So I probably would have liked to see a little bit more Woody Marks. Now here's a name that Isaac, my co-host, who will maybe be on later, I'm not sure. Not in this video, but later today. Dameon Pierce, his guy, DP, 7 for 21. Now it's only 3-yard average, but I can't go and give Woody Marks a little bit of praise when he was only 7 for 24. So it's really like 3.3 to 3.0, in terms of yards per carry. So Dameon Pierce gets some action. Last week, I believe he was a healthy scratch, so it's good to see him getting back on the field. Again, another one of those games where I would have liked to see him a little bit earlier, because ultimately, when you're having the success that you're having in a game like this, and your players are performing at a level like this, and you're able to spread nobody got overkill. Like, it wasn't like one guy just exploded outside. I mean, CJ Stroud, but he's like the focal point. He's gonna touch you know what I mean? So, I mean, Nick Chubb. Let me just actually, I could probably just pull this up. I could probably just pull it up. So yeah. So let's see. What does it look like over here? There we go. All right. So yeah, Nick Chubb, 11 carries, which led the team, which is fine. 11 carries is exactly where I want Nick Chubb to be, and I think this is more or less how they were spreading it out, which is neat. They were also just so effective in the pass game, where it's like it was almost like pick your poison, but like not poison. Like, do whatever you want, and you were just doing whatever they wanted to him. So Nick Chubb, 11 carries. CJ with that 130-yarder. I thought he was going to get to the end zone, man. And I think that was Nick Chubb, actually, who threw a block for CJ Stroud while he was going down the sideline so he could try to make it. Ultimately, CJ got hawked. He had some comments earlier in the week talking about how he was getting old. He doesn't feel as agile and as athletic as he used to. And then it's so funny that this week he goes and rips off a 30-yarder, damn near touchdown. So that's how it's pretty cool. Woody Marks and Dameon Pierce both with 7 carries. I think that's pretty nice, pretty neat. Like the CJ Stroud 1 for 30 kind of throws it off a little bit. Like big plays like that make it to where you can't really have a lot of carry. Like 30 yards, there may be 5 or 6 run plays in there sprinkled in here between 2 and 3 people. So maybe Nick Chubb gets up to 13, 14, and Woody gets up to 10. Which I think would be a pretty good split. And then obviously Woody gets some passes out the backfield, maybe 3, 4, maybe not 4, but 2, 3 catches a game out the backfield. I think that's kind of exact. I think that's exactly what Woody Marks needs to be in terms of where he's at in the offense. British Brooks, couple carries. I think he has a couple 4th down conversions as well. So he's proven to be a nice little undrafted free agent pickup for Nick Caserio and the Texans. I think this is a game where Nick Caserio can point out and be like, look at all the guys that I drafted and look what they're doing. Because for a couple of weeks there was like, look at all the guys you brought in for free agency and look what they're doing. Hurt, cut, traded. And now so it's kind of like his get back game as a GM too, if you think about it. Jalen Dole gets a carry, I believe, on an end around. Nico Collins gets a carry on an end around. So they were spreading the wealth. Even the receivers were getting carries as well. The receiving also, he was spraying it. He was really, it was full. Look at this: 4, 5, 4, 4, 2, 3, 2, 1. So, his he had a top four, but his top four were definitely getting the ball evenly, and then the guys underneath them were getting the ball evenly in comparison to each other. So it wasn't like there was one guy dominating by any means, but obviously Xavier Hutchinson did dominate in the sense that he had 2 touchdowns. So that was really cool. Christian Kirk leads the team. Well, hello, Christian Kirk. Welcome. He had that 147-yard bomb right there, and I believe it was the fourth quarter actually. But so that obviously boosts the numbers a little bit. But really, all of them had some sort of big play. Christian Kirk with the biggest at 47, but Dalton Schultz at 21, Nico Collins at 24, Jaden Higgins had 14, Brendan Bates, a tight end with a 19. So they were all making catches of big gains, and then ultimately we get these numbers. So Dalton Schultz leads the team, and then in attempts. Sorry, and then let's see. Let's go here. Can I shuffle it? No, I can't. All right. So we only got 1 sack, which is a little bit disappointing. I definitely anticipated there being more, just with Cooper Rush and all, but there was a lot of pressure on him though. There was a lot of pressure. Like it's not, the numbers are kind of deceiving. It wasn't 1 sack in the sense that he just was, standing back there and nothing was happening. Like he was under a lot of pressure. A lot of the interceptions came off of a lot of pressure, things of that nature. So it was really impressive. It was really impressive. I wish they would have got home a couple more times, especially with Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. There we go. But brain fart. With Will Anderson on the other end. So let's see. Zay Flowers had that 156-yarder. Other than that, though, he was really kept in check. Honestly, he really was. Derek Stingley. I think it was on Derek Stingley. I think Derek Stingley fell down, and then Kalen Bullock shoestring tackled Zay Flowers right before he gets to the end zone. So, football things happen. Turf monster. It is what it is. Move on. Other than that, he's had Stingley's had a really, really good year so far. Even playing, I believe he's probably still a little banged up because he really wasn't even supposed to play last week. So he's probably a little bit banged up, but he's playing a lot better. He's playing really good so far. Mark Andrews, I believe he had the one of the Petrie interceptions, gets thrown the ball. Petrie basically gets there at the same time. Boom, fumble. Texans, first down. Let's go. So Petrie's played really well. Petrie has played really, really well. He really has. I've been really impressed with Petrie. This right here, can we just talk about this real fast? This needs to be hung up in the Texans locker room. It needs to be enshrined. It needs to be given a banner at NRG or Reliant. Yeah. Whatever it is now. Okay. They keep changing the stadium names. Because this is impressive. This is impressive. He has single-handedly, him and T.Y. Hilton were both like just Texan killers. Like they would just, for whatever reason, go absolutely bananas in Houston. Or in Houston, against Houston, all of the above. So yeah, it needs to be talked about because 15 carries, 33 yards, 1 touchdown, 7 carries for his long. I mean, just come on, guys. We got it. I think I actually hold on. We got it. What a freaking showing by that Texan defense, guys. Wow. Just wow. Keaton Mitchell only 3 for 8. Justice Hill 1 for 3. They had 19 total carries. We had 33. I mean, it helps. It's hard. I mean, in their defense, though, it's hard to run the ball when you're fighting. We're going down to scoring every single drive. So I see why he couldn't get a lot of carries, but I mean, that's King Henry, man. I mean, he especially with his history against this team, he just does what he wants with us. So like, I anticipated them especially with a backup quarterback, definitely giving Derrick Henry much, much, much more. But like I said, CJ Stroud and them boys came to play. Them boys came to play. So I'm sure I forgot some stuff. I'm sure I didn't get all of my I feel like I'm not totally okay. Yeah, I feel like I probably didn't get all of the words and all of the thoughts out, but this is the first video in a minute. I feel like I needed to get on here and give my thoughts on what was an impressive win. I think that this is one of those things. These last two games, maybe the offense is starting to click a little bit. Maybe Nick Caley's starting to figure out the rhythm of things. He's starting to figure out what CJ Stroud likes. CJ Stroud's starting to figure out what he likes. Everybody's starting to get just acclimated to each other, and the offensive line getting multiple games playing together and just finally getting just a little bit of, getting their feet under them a little bit. And then Woody Marks starting to expand his role a little bit. Nick Chubb starting to get his feet under him, starting to kind of get used to the grind of things a little bit. And Nico Collins has had a little bit of a quieter season so far, but he's doing his thing out there. He had a touchdown, had a couple catches. Obviously, we just went over that, and he's had a solid season, and he's been somebody that we can count on and continues to show up every game. So no complaints here, no complaints there. I'm not gonna lie. After the first couple weeks, I was spiraling. I was about to crash out. I was worried, but ultimately, we're here now. The CJ Stroud and the Texans 2-3. Let's see how things. I had to make sure I didn't sound like an idiot there, but yeah, the Titans game. Duh. Now I sound like an idiot. Now is when I sound like an idiot. I found these buttons, man. I gotta use them now. Cool. All right. Well, if y'all tuned in to watch this video, I appreciate it. You guys have a fantastic rest of y'all's day, morning or night, whatever time you're listening to this, watching this. And we'll be back later to share thoughts on the rest of the NFL. I'm sure some stuff in college football that Isaac's going to want to talk about that I'm not ready to talk about because I'm living in blissful ignorance. But he's going to bring it out of me, and we're going to have an argument, and it's going to be super fun. So check that out. In the meantime, y'all have a good rest of y'all's day, and we will see y'all. I will see y'all.
I ain't with that beefing on the net. Tell me what's next. I can't listen to the hype. Wanna know that you've been mixed with lies. Life is like your favorite cocktail.